For the last 20 years, opioid use has been rising across the continent of Africa. Now, the abuse on drugs is a global phenomenon for sure, right? You're probably wondering, why is this happening? The truth is this. BBC did a documentary not too long ago where they uncover the pharmacy in India that is actually making these illicit drugs and also exporting it and selling it within the African communities, right? So here is my question. The only question I have is this. What's driving young people to purchase these harmful drugs? We're going to be exploring that on this episode. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Imotinya, and I'm a visual storyteller who happens to be visually impaired. If you've been coming and visiting me for a while, welcome. If you just got here, thank you, and hope you stay. And also, do not forget to subscribe. This is how we get our messages out, right? So let's jump into the story, though. This story was particularly, all the stories I share are heartbreaking, depending on what the subject matter is. But this one was a bit heavy for me. And as I was sharing with my producer, I didn't get to finish it. But when I started looking at this, it's something that is devastating on every level. Because when drugs get into society and it's affected by young people, then that future of that society is going to be serious issues. And Africa as a whole, to be honest with you, I don't think we have the resources yet to fight these type of issues when it becomes a serious one, right? Which is growing. It's not serious yet, but it's more likely going to be if attention isn't given to it, because this subject matter is not really talked about. I live in Maryland, USA. Down the street from where I live, literally down the street from where I live, there are streets where you have drug-infested places, right? People. And you see how much life has been taken away from these people, how future has been robbed away from these people because of their abuse on drugs, right? So let's just talk about this because it is very serious. So going back to the story, I saw on BBC, they did an investigative work with regards to opioid, right? A BBC reporter dressed up as somebody who's looking to purchase drugs went to Mumbai, India, which is where the factory or pharmacy is located. They met this guy who's on your screen. His name is Veno Sharma. Mr. Veno Sharma decided to obviously talk more about this drug. So I'm going to play a short video for you so you can have a sense of what the conversation was, right, between this director, Mr. Veno or Mr. Sharma, and also the BBC undercover reporter. So let's watch that very quickly.
Local market in Nigeria, we can supply these materials.
So we do. And our plan is to sell to young people. 16, 17-year-olds, we find out the whole of the product.
This item is part of the painkiller. But suppose you can use the 2 or 3 tablets in the one time, you can like this relax.
This is what the kids like. That's what they like. Gives them that high.
This is very harmful for the health. But
very harmful.
But customer cannot understand that. He wants relax.
He wants to relax.
Any medicine can misuse. This is very harmful for the body. But nowadays this is a business.
So the craziest thing about this whole story for me was this, that the fact that these people, allegedly I should say, would make these medications, right? They would make it, several of them, because there's several drugs out there. And then they'll put it under different brands or different brand names. So you're not able to track where it's actually coming from. And then what they do is they would package it in a way where they make it look legit, right? So that way, when people are going to the pharmacy, which is what I learned, to purchase this drug, you think that you're getting something legit, but you're getting something legit that is very harmful to you, or rather legit, but it's illegal in that particular space and it's very harmful to you. So the name of the drugs that they make, the name of the pills that they put together, I don't want to destroy the name. The first one is called Tapatoy. I'll spell that for you. Actually, no, it's this name right here. So this pill right here is a powerful opioid, right? And then the second pill that they also use when they're making this drug is called, that one is right here, and this one is actually a muscle relaxant. And both of those drugs are deadly. So in different parts of the world, pharmacies or a pharmacy is not allowed, or they are not licensed to combine this and this together, because this and this together can cause series of health issues, which include the slowdown of your breathing and also very serious seizures, right? So that's why you can combine both of the drugs. And if you listen to the video, you'll see the guys actually letting us know that. But when you combine both, what it does is it increases people's, you're very high to the point where your breathing stops. And that's what makes it very dangerous. And obviously, because it's opioid, it's addictive, right? That's where the danger is. What's the Nigerian government doing with regards to this particular matter? It's a national issue. It's a global issue. But every country is responsible for its own people, right? I'm showing you a map right now where you would see that Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, these are all countries that are really, that you have the drug infested communities, right? On this map, you see the different percentages of the countries that are consumers of this particular drugs. You see that West Africa has the highest. This goes to show that it's not really regulated in that part of the world. Particularly in Nigeria, we have 225 million people, right? And obviously, there's a lot happening in that country. It says about 4 million Nigerians are addicted to drugs. So that's a serious case. There was a situation that happened in Ghana where when these drugs get within the community, it has been destroying lives within the community. A chief was alerted, all right? And they had to do a sweeping of this drug. So they went in, he brought in some men, they went in and they began to gather the drugs. And here's an image of this man, of just a Ghanaian who has been obviously is under the influence, so you can tell that he's not even himself. So it's a growing issue. So why are young people gravitating towards drugs? Why are they using this as a way to either suppress, release, whichever the case may be? Why are they demanding for it? Why every chance they get, the little money they have, they use it to purchase these drugs? There's several factors here. We can look at it from, I saw an article that says uneducated population are more likely to use drugs. I think that's true, but I also think a very educated population can also use drugs as well. We look at it from the thug culture, I see that as well. The drug culture, I see that as well. I see trends, not to bring BBL. When BBL came, I know it has nothing to do with that, but when it's trendy and it looks good on the outside, young people, I would say young people that has low self-esteem, to be honest with you, gravitate towards that as a way to feel as though they belonged, right? It's a growing issue. It's a serious issue because the lives of young Africans are at stake. I think what also bothered me the most is that we have other issues that we're worried about, right? We don't have the facility to really deal with these issues when it becomes a national issue, when it becomes an African issue. Right now, it's on a smaller scale. It's still growing. It's not much talked about, so you don't think it exists, but it's there. We don't have the resources. We don't have the health care workers. We don't have the facilities to really handle this particular issue. I think that's where my concerns are. If you look at the so-called developed world, you know that there are facilities out there that caters to these people if they do need the support. But Africa and countries within Africa don't have that as of right now, simply because the issues that we're facing drug is not our immediate issue. We have other things like poverty and other things that are out there that we're trying to solve, which is the basic, that's the basic necessity for every person and every family. So it's an ongoing one. And I'm going to keep my eye on this because I think that it's something that should be talked about. Africa has the youngest population in the world, right? Whether it's now or later, countries are going to start reaching out to us to use our resources, to use our labor, to use our talent, to use us. They've started though, but it's going to get worse because they don't have enough people within their own country to meet their own economical demand or their own labor force. So they're going to be outsourcing us. So what does it look like when they're trying to outsource us, which would eventually better our societies, right, respectively? But if they're trying to outsource us and then you find out that a lot of us are crackheads or drug heads, so how is that going to work? So it's something that we need to think about. There has to be more stricter laws when it comes to this particular subject matter. What I mean by stricter laws is when things are imported into the country, right? When people are bringing their items into the country, the government should be in charge of make sure these things are regulated, right? Checking these items and ensuring that things that are not the product that are harmful should not be allowed in the country. We talk about West Africa, but there are other parts within Africa where we don't even know the realities of drugs, right? Within these small communities. So every person, every country, every leader should be aware of what's happening, right? Because if it's happening to the giant of Africa, rest assured it's happening to other parts of Africa. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this subject matter. It's an ongoing one. It's one that needs a national, global attention. So we should keep talking about it with respect and also with kindness, because sometimes it could also be a mental issue as well, right? So let's talk about this some more. Share your comments below. Keep us posted. Share a personal story if you have one. I do want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again on the next episode. Stay tuned for more great content.